You graduated high school. Congratulations! Welcome to the real world. Unfortunately, a lot of times during school, you aren't really taught what you should know as an adult. Lucky for you, in today's video, I'm going to teach you 10 things that every high school graduate and young 20-year-old should know. So stay tuned. So while there are a lot of different skills and things that a high school graduate or a young 20-year-old should know, today I'm going to be talking about the 10 most common things. Number 7 is super important, so make sure you watch the video all the way through to the end. Okay, so let's get right into it. Number 1 is creating and sticking to a budget. Now, a budget is an estimated list of income and expenses that you expect to go through within about a month. The reason why this is so important is because you need to know, are you living within your means? And what that means is, are you spending more money than you're making? Are you wasting money instead of putting it where it needs to go? Something you have to think about when you're an adult is, do you have enough money in your budget to pay for your expenses? Expenses being your utility bills, car payments, rent, things like that. Another thing you have to consider with a budget is, what is your plan if you don't have enough money for your expenses? Something else you have to think about is what to do if an emergency pops up and you need money at that time. Savings is also a big deal. Do you have enough money set aside for savings? Now, savings could be for something big that you're saving up for, like a trip or gifts. It could be shopping, things like that. But do you have enough money set aside for those things? And speaking of fun money, I always recommend that when you are setting up a budget, you have a fun money account set up also. So what that is, it's a bank account that you have a set amount of money that gets deposited into that account so you can have fun either on the weekends or during the weekday, but it allows you to enjoy your money. A lot of times people go to work, they work long hours, and they want to enjoy their money, right? And budgeting your money can be a lot like a diet. Sometimes if you're on too strict of a diet, it's not uncommon for a lot of people to give up or to cheat here and there, right? So with a fun money account, that kind of prevents that from happening because you're allowing yourself some money to enjoy. Also, if you're interested, I'm going to be including a free budget template for you that is going to be linked down in the description in case you're interested and want to start a budget today. So the second thing every high schooler and young adult should know is how to cook basic meals. Now, this doesn't mean you have to know super fancy things or even spend a ton of money, but just knowing some simple everyday basic meals that you could make yourself. And so you're not always eating ramen all the time. What happens is a lot of times people will spend money on fast food or eating out a lot during the month. Some people will do that every day, and some people will do that even once a week. But if you think about it, all the money that you're spending on that food could be used for groceries or could be used for another bill of some sort. And if you really think about it, the amount of money that you spend on even one fast food meal, you could break that down into 3 or 4 different meals if you made it yourself at home, which is super important if you are on a budget. The next tip would be knowing how to do your own laundry. Now, many of us grew up having to do our own laundry at home, but there are a lot of people who don't know how to do their own laundry, and it's absolutely important for you to know how to do this. And not only going through the steps of putting your clothes in the washing machine, putting detergent and everything like that, but really knowing some things need to be hung to dry. Some things will shrink if you put them in the dryer for too long. And those are all different things that every young adult should know how to do. In addition to that, knowing how much of your product that you should be using. For example, most people use way too much laundry detergent, and that can be really wasteful and expensive. You also have to really think about those extras that you see on TV and commercials when you're doing your laundry. Yes, there are some scented items that you could use or really high-end fabric softener that you could use, but is it something that you really need, especially if you're struggling financially? So those are the types of things that you really have to think about when it comes to laundry. Also, if you're in a situation where you're living somewhere where there isn't a washer and dryer in your unit, then you're gonna have to think about how you're going to come up with the money to pay to do your laundry. Are there laundromats nearby? How much does it cost to do a load of laundry? And things like that. The fourth thing on this list is email etiquette, and I cannot stress this enough. It is very important to know how to communicate effectively via email. When you're writing an email, especially when you're writing to your boss or to a coworker, it's very important to know how to word your message correctly. You want to make sure that you are using the appropriate tone. You want to make sure that your timing is right. And of course, you also want to make sure that it's just professional. You'd be surprised at how many adults don't know how to write an email effectively, whether it's slang, whether it's your email address. There are just different things that you can do that really make a big difference overall. To add to that, knowing when to reply all is super important. Sometimes it's not necessary, and if you do it often, that could be seen as a nuisance in your workplace. Number 5 on the list is managing your time. Now, this is something that many adults still struggle with, even throughout their adulthood. As you start pursuing your college degree, as you start pursuing your career or your job, your day is going to be filled up pretty quickly with things, and it's important for you to know how to prioritize your time. There are a lot of things out there that can help you schedule and manage your time. There are apps. You have your phone calendar. Maybe you just like good old pen and paper. There are planners, there are timers, there are a whole bunch of things. And because of that, it's important for you to at least try each of those so you can really see what works for you. One thing I'm a big advocate for is block scheduling, which if you're unsure what that is breaking your day into 3-hour chunks, 4 hours at the most. And within that time block, you just list what things you need to get done within that time block only. Whatever you accomplish in that time block is what you accomplish. When the next time block comes, you don't revisit what was in the previous time block. You just keep going on to the next block. The good thing about the block system, it really forces you to get as much as you can done within that block period, and it doesn't stall you, because when you move on to the next block, you're already moving on to your other things, so you're able to work on the items that are listed in there, which allows you to become more productive overall. So we have already made it through half of our list. Let me know in the comments, how have you learned about this stuff before? Is it something your parents taught you? Did you learn some of this in school? Is this the first time you're hearing about it? I'm interested to know from you. Number 6 on our list is knowing basic home and car maintenance. Now, I realize that not every high school graduate or 20-year-old or even 30-year-old necessarily has a vehicle or a house. However, it's still important to know some basics so that when you do, or even if you decide to room with somebody, you can handle some of these obstacles. One example would be, would you know how to unclog a drain? If the toilet clogs up, would you know what to do? Do you know where the circuit breaker is? Do you know how to use it? Do you know how to reset it? Every home comes with a furnace, and with that furnace, there's usually an air filter. Do you know where to find that? Do you know what size you need to get? Do you know where to find it at the store? And how often you need to change it? Those are some things that will help you maintain your home and have it functioning at a good level. Regarding your car, something that's important for you to know is what to do if it breaks down. Or if you get a flat tire, who would you call in those situations? Do you know about the oil changes? Do you know how often you have to get your oil changed? Do you know where to go to get your oil changed? Knowing those things can really save you a lot of time and money if you have the knowledge to address those. Number 7 on our list is navigating public transportation. So this is more common, obviously, in bigger cities, and public transportation could really mean subways, the bus. Now, there are some times when you might not be able to afford a vehicle, and public transit system would be perfect in that situation. A lot of times it is very cost effective, and it could potentially save you some parking money also if you have to end up paying for parking where you're living. I know that a lot of the students that I work with now will often say, oh, I'm scared to ride the city bus, or it seems pretty intimidating, and it's so common, but those are very valid feelings, especially especially if you've never done it before. But once you do it, you see it really isn't that bad. It's pretty straightforward. Plus, there are a lot of websites and apps that can help you with the scheduling of the routes and things like that, so that you are prepared well ahead of time. Number 8 on our list is building and maintaining credit. In my last video, I talked about credit and how to raise your credit score quickly and how to build your credit if you haven't had any credit before. It's very common for a lot of high school graduates to not have any credit upon graduation. And sometimes you're out in the real world and you're like, oh my gosh, credit, what is it? What is a credit card? How does it work? How can I get approved for things? And a lot of that knowledge is missed. Either people aren't taught it, or they just have no clue about it, or they're ill-informed. So really understanding what credit is super important for your future. You absolutely want to establish good credit because more opportunities will be given to you when you do. So not only understanding what credit is, but what it can be used for, how you can impact your credit negatively and positively, and how to build credit if you don't have any at all. And again, if you haven't checked out my last video, you can go ahead and do that, and I offer 5 ways that you can build or boost your credit score pretty quickly. Number 9 is research and problem solving. Now, this is one of those skills that you really don't think about, and it really isn't explicitly taught to you in school, but this is one of the most important skills that you can have as a young adult. Learning how to research, solve your own problems is very important, especially in the workplace. A lot of times your employers, your supervisors, they want to know that you can do this on your own. They don't need to hold your hand through it all. By knowing how to research and problem solve, it shows that you're taking initiative and trying to do things independently. If you're able to do this correctly, you are seen as a valuable worker since you can do things efficiently. And number 10 on our list is making and maintaining appointments. Now, by this, I'm mostly talking about your dentist and your doctor's appointments. Do you know how to make a doctor's appointment? Do you know how to make your dentist appointment? Do you know what to say? Do you know who to call or where to go? One thing that I try to teach my own children once they are adults is they need to just take the initiative and make the phone call and say, I would like to make an appointment. It isn't as daunting as you think it is. Once you go through the steps and you're finished with the call, you'll see how easy it really is. Obviously, there are many more skills that young adults should know how to do, but these were just the top 10 most common ones. If you found any of this information helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button. That will allow me to share this with other people, and hopefully it can benefit them as well. And don't forget to check out my upcoming videos where I share more tips on how to adult. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, when it comes to improving our lives, it is never too late to start. See you in the next video.